Hello, everyone. Welcome to CTN. To learn more about the show, please visit ciotalknetwork.com. And today's topic is navigating the human asset beyond technology and strategy. So what are we talking about here? So see, AI, machine learning, and automation are fundamentally changing the workplace dynamic. Now, at the same time, we have got human workforce and digital workforce trying to come together to create value. And idea is for them to not compete, but instead work as a team. Now, on the other side, the humans being humans, they're looking for some purpose, some meaningful engagement, and they want to be able to live and work like humans in this increasingly automated world. So the idea is to figure out how businesses can create an environment where we are also getting the most value from the human workers and digital workers, and at the same time get the most value of the technical and human potential. So is there a recipe? What all has been tried? What worked? What did not work? So to discuss this, we have Riaz Yusuff. He's the Chief Information Officer with Harper College. Hey, Riaz, how are you?
Hey, Sanjog. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, the pleasure and honor is mine. So as we know, this is an interesting phenomena that we have been watching and to some extent living in the last few months or years for that matter, right?
Mhm.
Now, the question here is if we are going in this direction and we have seen these changes, what is your true observation? I mean, is this we are making too much of this phenomena? It's like business as usual and any other changes that we have seen in the past, and we had a lot of hue and cry initially, and then we all settled down. How do you place this phenomena that is happening?
Absolutely. That's a great question. We the technology world have gone through some major transformations in the past. This is not the first time we are seeing a major transformation. We have had cloud technology, we have had blockchain, we have had big data. So all these technology changes have transformed businesses in the past. But there's a big difference between these technologies that I just mentioned versus AI. The difference is that AI is now made it so accessible to individuals. So in the past, when I go to my leadership or the board members, I had to explain what a technology is before I talk about it because they did not have firsthand experience. But that's not the case with AI. When I go talk to my board members, for example, I know for sure that they all have tried AI in some form or fashion. So they have had that firsthand experience. So I think that is the biggest difference between what we have seen in the past to what we are seeing right now. And I have personally seen the college embracing technology alongside our faculty and staff. I say this because when I first started here, a lot of folks saw technology as an afterthought, something that IT department to handle. Now there is a real sense of partnership that I'm seeing that our instructors are incorporating innovative tools into their lessons, from online simulations to collaborative platforms. So there is a lot of overall collaboration that I'm seeing between non-technology users to the technology folks. That I see as a big step in this transformation that we are all going through.
Now, whether it is with our family or with human workers we have in an organization, what they want to feel safe.
Mhm.
They want to feel loved to some extent, and they want to feel cared for.
Absolutely.
With this environment that has gotten created, and no individual's fault or organization's fault, it's just a phenomena. It's a global phenomenon, or maybe the humans brought it upon ourselves.
Mhm.
But look at the mental state of a human worker. They did not see it coming, and they want to feel safe and loved and cared for. What is the current state these people are in, and what have you been able to do to make them feel the same valued and the same loved and the same cared for and the same having the safety that they want?
Absolutely. That's a great question. Um, so, although the technology is advancing a lot, there is still a human element that is needed almost in every job. So, I think we need to, the human workers, the resource, when we say resource, it's two kind of resources. One is the human resource versus the technology resources. The staff, the human resource, the more we can let our human resource focus on meaningful work, the more bang that we can get out of our buck. Meaning that AI can only go so far. AI is as good as the information that you feed to AI. We have all seen some news or articles around how bad of an output sometimes AIs create. And that's all happening because AI is just an AI. It's still a tool. It is just a brainless tool. We are trying to put a brain into the tool, but it can go only so far. So we still need that human touch to everything that we do. So to that effect, what we are doing at Harper College is we have always been offering some sort of professional development opportunities for individuals. That includes training opportunities, conference opportunities, so on and so forth. So we are encouraging individuals to pick topics that make sense for them to connect to the work in a meaningful way. For example, we have huge focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. So DEI is something I don't think AI can do as effectively as humans can do. So a lot of our staff and faculty tend to go for conferences and training that are DEI focused, for example, helping students emotionally, for example. An AI tool can help faculty to grade a multiple choice question. That is no problem. A tool can handle. But connecting with a student empathetically, for example, is something a tool cannot do. So we still need that human touch, and that is where we have always been focusing. And I think the need to focus on that more is here today.
So, one side is, of course, we are good Samaritans, we are good people, humans, leaders. So with that spirit, you're doing the best you can. But then there is no avoiding the fact that there is business to be run. And if there is a potential for you to reduce any operational costs or anything you can do faster, cheaper, better, business is always going to strive for that. And that means they are going to try to use AI and also automation and any other derivatives value that it could create. Everyone would like to fully exploit. Now, with that said, it's inevitable that we can only cradle your human workers so much. They will have to retool, rescale, and there will be some skills which will, no matter what, how much AI and automation comes, will be required and will be making or rendering humans indispensable. So could you, from your viewpoint, as you've seen this AI being utilized to whatever degree in your organization and others that you talk to, which specific skills and attributes of a human will still keep them indispensable?
Absolutely. So one thing I would say, first and foremost, the more each one of us focus on our uniqueness, the more successful we will be. Because if we try to copy something, for example, if I try to do what an AI technology is trying to do, if I try to compete with that AI, then I will be replaced eventually, because that AI, I'm sure, will do 1,000 times better than what I do. But versus me as an individual, what I am good at, I know that already. So if I can focus on what I am good at, for example, a faculty could be really good in showing empathy to students. So they can focus more on that as an example. And that is something that no tool can replace, or no other outsourced individuals, offshore or whatnot, can replace. So that is what I think we all have to focus individually. To that point, what we at Harper College, what we try to focus is human-centered technology. So we just don't roll out new tools without considering the impact to people. So we involve our teams in the selection process, gather feedback, and tailor the implementation to fit the needs of our users and students. This shows them that their input is valued, that and that the technology is there to support them, not the other way around. So technology is not to replace people, but it is to support people. So the more we involve our institution in making those decisions, the more it's going to be clear for our staff. That is the approach I would encourage.
So one is to look at how these people are going to be made more effective, efficient, yet at the same time feeling wanted and valued. That is good, and we would try to keep motivating them, giving them the assurance. But at the same time, the things which will keep them indispensable and whatever they have to do, that needs to be somehow not reinforced, but somehow intrinsically we motivate these people to continue to work on those areas so that we have them take ownership of their own indispensability, if that was a word there.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, like I said, we don't want to compete with any tool. When calculators were invented, I don't know if any human had tried to compete with calculators. If they did, I'm sure they were eventually replaced by the calculators. So there is no point in competing with a tool. But what we have to focus is more on the critical thinking, the creativity, and the emotional intelligence, the EQ, as we call it. Because these things, I think, have always been critical for humans, and it's going to be even more critical in the near future because of all these technological advancements that we are seeing in the recent months. So AI, for example, is a whiz in data analysis, but it can't come up with creative solutions to complex problems or understand the nuances of human interaction. So that's where we need the human touch. In our case, it's the faculty and staff. We come in and we provide that human touch to provide a holistic solution. So it's never a good idea to depend just on a tool and let the tool handle the business process, and that is quickly going to go south if anyone's trying to do that.
Okay, so one area is that where we are trying to have them feel warm and fuzzy about working and kind of course build the skills which will keep the humans indispensable. Great points that you made. Now comes the era in which we want to make every decision which is data driven.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as possible, if we do that, it essentially brings predictability because data doesn't lie. But at the same time, there could be areas where human intuition could trump what data could do, right? And that's what we have done historically. And we eventually say, okay, data is just a support tool, and eventually it's a human decision, and that is based on human intuition.
Absolutely.
Could you separate out, given the path forward is more and more humans, or humans' decision-making is also being taken over by AI, what would be left or should be left with humans so that they can leverage the intuition based on the maturity that we have had as evolution of human beings for the last million years, and leave the rest to AI?
Absolutely. This is the age-old data versus intuition debate. It's a constant tightrope walk for a CIO. And let me tell you, it keeps things interesting of late. Data is powerful, and it helps us identify the trends, measure impact, and make informed decisions. But there is this other side, the human side, where intuition and experience come into play. You can't beat a gut feeling honed by years in the trenches, which is why companies have a lot of times hard time letting go of long timers, because long timers have not only accrued a skill set which may be replaced by somebody else or by a tool, but they have also experienced, they have also gathered this sensation, this intuition, which you cannot easily replace by anything else. So a lot of times they contribute, these long timers contribute in a way of gut feel. They don't even articulate necessarily why they are suggesting a solution, but they just suggest it. And if you consider that, there's usually a good value in considering that aspect of things. An example that comes to my mind is a major ERP implementation in my world. At Harper College, we have implemented a major ERP solution just a few years back. The data pointed towards various implementation timelines. So while we were looking at different timelines and different solutions, it's not necessarily the data pointing us in one solid direction or approach. However, considering the upcoming faculty training schedule, and for example, we had a specific window of time. So we basically had to move on with the implementation, not just based on the data, but also based on the intuition and institutional knowledge that the decision makers are bringing forward at the table. So that actually outweighed what the data could provide, because data has this limitation, right? Data is as good as what you provide. As we always say, garbage in, garbage out. So all if you have is garbage, then the data is no good for your decision making. The other limitation data has is the timeline. If you have data for half a century, that's probably better because you have large amount of data and you can rely on it more than having a data for a few months or a few years. So there are a number of attributes that come into play here, which is why we cannot purely use data for decision making. We also have to use the human intuition, the gut feel, to also make decisions alongside with data.
So let me bring up this interesting area, which is related to some ethical concerns people have, that AI is being utilized to find avenues where you do not need to use a worker and instead use this digital worker. Mm-hmm. Now, when you have that as a reason and you can create a business case, maybe the management would not say no, but which areas, to what degree we automate and which individuals to remove could also be tainted with the bias that could be there of people of certain type, gender, race, other considerations, as you can imagine. I can keep going in that direction, but you get the point.
Yep.
How do we not allow this to become an opportunity for folks with biases to make decisions which will take away the equity we all strive for?
That's a great question. I think you hit the nail on the head there. AI is a powerful tool, and like any other powerful tools, it comes with a responsibility to use it ethically. I am personally excited about the potential of AI to personalize learning and streamline processes. But I'm also keenly aware of the ethical considerations, like you mentioned. One big concern is that transparency and bias. AI algorithms are only as good as the data that they are trained on. If the data is biased, the AI will perpetuate those biases. So we need to be transparent about how AI is being used and ensure that the data sets are fair and representative. So that the transparency here is important, because if you're transparent with your community, then people know that if AI is making a mistake, it's coming from AI, then they would tend to forgive for that mistake that's happening. But if you're not being transparent, if you're trying to project as if your human worker is trying to generate that response, and if that is messed up, then you will end up owning it. So I think it's better to be transparent to that point. The other thing is the human factor. AI can automate tasks, but it can't replace the human touch. We need to focus on how AI can complement human strengths, not replace them. That means investing in upskilling and reskilling our workforce so they can work alongside AI and not be replaced by AI. The future of work will likely involve a collaboration between humans and AI. The key is to ensure this collaboration is ethical and empowers everyone, not just machines. That is the approach I would like to take, and I believe it is the right one to ensure a smooth and positive transition for everyone involved.
So, would you say your response is more of an appeal to the people? Because a lot of management leaders who are especially interested in shareholder value versus, internal stakeholders and employee value, they might still find a way to, of course, get what they want, and that could come and undermine what you are appealing and or what you're evangelizing here. How do
Exactly.
you deal with that?
Absolutely. I'm not appealing from the standpoint of, oh, let's help our human beings. I'm not begging, so to speak. What I'm saying is, if a company is making a decision to let go of their human workers in order to replace them with AI or another technology, they may be able to see a short-term gain in it. A lot of times, for-profit organizations are focused on short-term gains, quarter to quarter, which is why sometimes they get into trouble, right? So it might show them a boost in cutting down the expenses and increase in profit in a short while, but long term, because they are missing this human touch to the work, that is going to come out, and eventually they are going to lose business. That is what I'm saying. So don't think short term, think longer term. So make sure you have AI and other technology work alongside with your human workers so that it will be a collaborative working environment rather than supplementing or replacing working environment.
So now comes the point of meaningful work, right? So people like to make sure that when they go back, they feel fulfilled and they're working towards a larger purpose. In fact, more and more employees want to join companies where there's a purpose to the organization versus just making money. So when we are looking at having AI work alongside them, maybe more work as an assistive technology versus artificial intelligence is assistive intelligence, like that's what people want to call it. How can all of that result in the same focus, which is to find meaningful work and do meaningful work and also remain a purpose-driven organization while AI is by design created to do things faster, cheaper, and better? Can we improve the qualitative aspect of work by leveraging AI, or is it more to do it faster, cheaper, better?
Another great question. The digital age is a double-edged sword, I would say. It brings incredible tools and efficiencies, but it also raises questions about what constitutes meaningful work, right? When machines can handle so much, how do we even define meaningful work? So I see it this way. Meaningful work isn't about the task itself. It is about the impact that we are creating as an organization. In the past, a lot of jobs might have felt repetitive or transactional. An automation can free up humans from those repetitive tasks and allow us to focus on a bigger picture. So definitely automation adds value there. For example, faculty in our world can spend less time grading if there are a pattern such as multiple choice quizzes, and can use a tool to grade, so to introduce some automation in some areas of grading. So thereby they can focus more time, they can spend more time in one-on-one mentorship with the students. So that's a human connection where there's a real meaning lies. So that is how I see the meaningful work happening at workplace. So how do we ensure that people find purpose? That's the next big question, right? Because every organization, I believe, should have a purpose to motivate their employees, to motivate their staff to give the best out of their skills, out of them. So here at Harper, we are all about focusing on human strength and empowerment through upskilling. So we are helping our employees identify and develop the skills that machines cannot replace. which I mentioned earlier, such as creativity, emotional intelligence, focus on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. These are all the skills that allow us to use technology effectively and create a more positive impact. We also offer professional development and on-campus workshops. We just had one last week to help our employees adapt and thrive in the evolving landscape. We had our annual professional development day where we had very little topics on technology, actually. So instead, we focused a lot on helping our employees make an impact on our students' lives and in our community by offering more of the training and workshops that are considered as soft skills, not necessarily hardcore technology skill set. So ultimately, the meaningful work is about feeling like you are contributing to something bigger than yourself. It's about creating a future where humans and machines work together, not against each other, to make a real lasting impact on our students and our community in our case.
So most of the work that's being done currently, as I mentioned, was, of course, to create efficiencies wherever possible and get efficiencies at the same time accelerate whatever we used to do, right? And there were some problems which we could not solve earlier. We are working on those as well. Mm-hmm. So it is about problem, it's about efficiency, it's about acceleration. I hope there is still some effort being put on improving the human experience as well. Because frankly, all of this that we are doing, whether internal customers or external customers, we're serving them, right? Mm-hmm. So are we truly experience-centric in our thinking and in our strategies, in our execution, that the human experience is going to the next level? That's one part of the question. Second, as organizations work, they get some tasks done, some projects done, some capabilities are built. Mm-hmm. One of the leadership 101 objective is also to build other leaders.
Right.
Have we tried to work on these two areas, which is whatever we do, we elevate human experience, mm-hmm. and we make people better leaders, and see if there is some creative ways AI could be utilized or collaboration between AI and human could help us towards these two end goals.
Absolutely. This is another great question. You're right. I don't get the feel that many organizations are focusing on that human experience that you're talking about. Instead, I feel like the more and more technology advances recently with AI, a lot of organizations I feel like they're losing their sight of that human experience, but rather they're focusing more on efficiency, which in some cases may improve the human experience, but not always. So if the companies are simply focusing on their profit bottom line, that is where they're going to get into trouble. So instead, like you said, the way to improve the business is to focus on the customer experience. You said human experience. I would like to even be a little more specific than that. So in our experience, our students are our customers. The parents of our students are our customers. So how best do we improve our students' experience from the time they apply at the college to the time they graduate and become an alumni of the college? So how best, the better we provide experience for our students, the higher the chances of getting graduated and recommending our college to their neighbors, to their friends, and to everyone. So that is how we see. So it's all about coming to that customer experience, that human experience, and what makes sense to improve that human experience is what we need to focus on. So a lot of times the way these tools and technologies help us to improve that human experience is by freeing up the time of our human workers. The example I mentioned earlier was just one example of how a tool can relieve some time of a faculty by automating some grading, for example. That's one example. The other example I can give you is flex learning. At Harper, we have introduced flex learning within the last couple of years. What it does is it allows our students to attend classes no matter where they are. They could be on campus or they could be remote. In some cases, they could even take the missed classes asynchronously. So irrespective of where they are able to participate in a class. So we upgraded some of our classrooms such that the students are able to participate whether they are on campus, sitting inside the class, or they are outside the class remotely, still trying to participate. So instead of missing a class, now they have an opportunity to still take the class remotely or in some cases asynchronously afterwards as well. So that is the human experience, the student experience. We are trying to improve the student experience by providing them flexible options, which is why we call it flex learning. And that has been received really well. So that is how I think organizations should look at efficiency. And you brought up another good point in regards to developing leaders, right? So these things go hand in hand. So the more we focus on upskilling our workers, the more we will also have a path forward for those individuals who want to get into the leadership. Right? Leadership is a totally different kind of skill set. Not everyone is interested in that route, and not everyone who's interested is successful in that route, because a lot of things in leadership is not black and white. So some people could struggle with that. Some people could ace that with no problem. It all comes with their individual working style, the individual preferences, and so on and so forth. Which is why it's important for institutions to offer training opportunities for individuals to at least learn and evaluate leadership as an option. In our case, we have an online training platform that we subscribed to. We have been doing this for a few years now. So that which is available to all of our employees, faculty and staff. So employees can go in and take any training that they want, including leadership training, and that will give them a better idea in regards to leadership as a path. Then they are encouraged to have a conversation with their supervisors who are supposed to help this employee to map their career path into the options available at the college. So that is part of this whole equation of improving human experience, student experience, by having the leadership lined up in terms of building continuous leadership pipeline, so we don't have interruption in our business if and when some of our leaders had to leave the organization.
Given where we are, a lot of things in flux, we're all learning, we are trying to figure out what's going to come next. If you had a crystal ball, assume you have, right? What would you say would be the type of changes that you feel that may impact the relationship between AI and humans? And what would it do to the outcomes we are seeking?
I wish I had a crystal ball in my hand.
What would you wish it to be? So let's start there. So if you don't have a crystal ball, you can at least say, this is what I would like to see AI and human coming together and creating most value.
Absolutely. Looking ahead, I see the relationship between humans and technology becoming more collaborative, like I mentioned earlier, and symbiotic. Here is what I think. I think there will be a rise of augmented workforce. So technology will become even more integrated into our daily workflows, acting as an extension of our capabilities. A lot of us are already using AI as a tool to validate things, to create ideas, and so on and so forth. So that has already become a part of our daily lives. So imagine AI assistants helping our faculty personalize learning materials, or chatbots providing real-time support to students. But the human touch will remain crucial still. The ability to analyze, solve problems, solve complex problems, particularly, and foster connections will be even more valuable. So that's why I called it an augmented workforce. And the other thing I think is essential or is going to change is focus on human centered design. Usability will become the ultimate watchword in the near future. Technology needs to be intuitive and cater to the unique needs of, in our case, faculty and staff and students. But that means involving them in the design process from the get go, ensuring that the technology empowers them but not hinders them. So things have to evolve into human centered design. Then, lastly, I think one of the things that is going to change in the near term is lifelong learning will become the norm. The pace of technological change will only accelerate. To thrive and continuous learning will be essential for everyone, irrespective of what domain, what organization they are associated to. Here at Harper, we already have programs to help our people upskill themselves, adapt and embrace new technologies, and so on and so forth. And I know some of the organizations already offer these options. If they are not, it's high time to evaluate, because lifelong learning is going to become the norm.
All right. So, any last piece of advice for especially these young professionals and the upcoming leaders? Because, of course, you paid your dues and you see it happening and you've seen many shifts. Now, these people will be taking, the leadership positions and management positions, and they will be kind of almost native to AI and humans working together. What would be your recommendation based on the good things and the bruises you got throughout the journey?
Absolutely. A crucial piece of advice that I would like to give to young professionals and future leaders is that never forget the human element. Um, Whatever we do is around helping human. Sometimes we may not realize it, depending on your nature of your job, where you are sitting in the organization. You may not realize it, but it is everything about helping human to do better things in the world. Technology is a powerful tool, but it should always be seen as a means to an end, but not the end itself. Here's the human touch that I think matters more than ever. The technology amplifies the humanity, it does not replace it. AI can crunch numbers, but it cannot replicate the empathy, the creativity, the critical thinking. So focus what is behind the technology. Don't just stop with the technology. Don't get caught up in the latest gadgets or trends. Ask yourself, how will this technology improve lives? How will it make our work more meaningful? When the why is clear, then the how, the technology part, will become more of a positive change. So that is what I would recommend for the upcoming leaders.
Once again, thank you so much, Riaz, for taking the time today. Fabulous points that you've made towards how organizations and leaders and individual workers can come together, look at AI not as a threat, find ways to uplift themselves, upskill themselves, and become indispensable by taking ownership of your career and what you do to contribute towards the business goals and your professional goals. And while all that is done, work towards a purposeful, meaningful life that you create for yourself and purposeful, meaningful work you do for your organization. So thank you so much, Riaz, for taking the time here today.
Thank you, Sanjog. Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, and I wish you and your viewers the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And folks who are watching or listening to this podcast, please subscribe to our podcast channel, plus also connect with us on social media so we can keep sharing with you the nuggets that were shared, like the ones which Riaz shared today. Thank you so much again. This is Sanjog Gaul, your host from CTN. Please take care and God bless.